I know when folks are looking into whether or not they should proceed on a personal injury case, they want to know how hard it is, right? What's the challenges I'm going to be facing? And I think to hope to give you a little more information, the simplest answer, right, that any attorney is going to say is it depends. And my hope is to kind of give you some contexts where it depends. So let's talk about a simple case. Let's say you come to me, you've been in a car accident. There is footage, there is straight video showing you're not at fault. The police report says you're not at fault. You have injuries, those injuries have resolved, and there's available insurance coverage. A lot of things in your favor that aren't necessarily always there. Generally, that can resolve pretty quick, 6 to 9 months. You don't even need, in a lot of those contexts, doesn't even go to court. Now, the challenge is, let's say that if you're seriously injured and the insurance wants to fight back and not pay out right away, that can make it take longer. I think where it comes down to how hard it is to win a personal injury case, that depends on who you have fighting for you. You have to trust that person. You have to know they're working on your case. But also, the challenges of getting there come from the facts, the circumstances, and what kind of led to your injuries, and then that coverage available. So when a case starts to get complicated, let's say that the other side is claiming that you are partially at fault, or that not only like the person, you go to a big box store and you're hurt there, but they're claiming that some other driver was at fault for your injury as well, and so they're fighting over it. So it creates those complications. Now, the best thing, and I know a lot of people are afraid of, oh my goodness, what if I file a lawsuit? What if I have to go to court? What if I have to get deposed? A lot of people are afraid of that, right? You got hurt and then you have to be on your heels, and that's not necessarily comfortable for anyone. Totally recognize and understand that. When you put yourself in that position, though, you're best able to get yourself forward, right? A majority of cases settle. A large majority of them settle in New Mexico, whether for the number people want or not, totally different question. But that challenge of getting to there and pushing through and taking the time, right? That's where you have to trust your attorney. You have to be in a position with somebody who you're going to think is going to take your case forward and put you in the best position. Now, if it goes to trial, there is no guarantee of success, right? I can't, if an attorney is guaranteeing you they will take your case to trial and they will win, you should run for the hills. And the reason being is they can't control the jury, or in some cases the judge who will be deciding that case. So what I can say, though, that going back a little bit, how hard is it to win a personal injury case? It can be hard. It can take time. It's going to take your time period. Even if you settle at pre-litigation within the first 3 years you have to file a lawsuit, it's still going to be challenging, and you're still going to have to put yourself out there. Like in just a claim, right? It doesn't have to get filed. It's generally not public. You'll probably have to agree to confidentiality in most contexts if you're going to get a settlement. Not always, but in a lot of contexts. If you go to court, your name will be out there as having filed a suit against big box store, other driver, insurance company, whatever. And so it's important to make sure you're aware of that. But how hard is it to win first starts at what can you stand, right? Are you not going to be able to have any potential public pushback or having your name out there? I would advise most people to disregard that, right? Your name is going to appear on a complaint. That is, if somebody wants to look at it, that is what it is. But at the end of the day, I think that's a showing of bravery, right? A willingness to stand up and show somebody harmed me, they took something from me, I'm going to put myself out there. I think of it that way, and I think even if you're hesitant about going to litigation, a lot of the time, let's say if you just file a claim, sometimes going to litigation and showing the defense that you're serious can help put you in a better position to probably, again, most of these cases resolve before going to trial. Now, if you go to trial, there's a lot more costs. There's things to be aware of, and so your attorneys are going to have to probably get experts, spend time, and those are all things to be aware of. Like I've seen some studies that show 60% of plaintiffs win. I don't even know if that's true, and that's not helpful to your question, right? If you have a dog bite, maybe that's less. A dog bite case. If you have where you're hit by a car and you're a pedestrian, maybe that's more. I don't have any statistics on that, and I guess I'd be giving you vibes if I told you what the specific answer is and the specific percentage. What I will say, though, is if you're worried about how hard it's going to be and you're worried about putting your name out there, find somebody you can trust and talk to. There are cases where I've had people who they got a large settlement and they were worried they would not be alive. They were very elderly, and so they resolved it before going to court. They didn't want that fight. In situations, though, where you might have a family member who died and the person who harmed them has done something serious, on the other side of things, you might just want to be in a position to put yourself forward and fight that out and get that in public to show what wrong has been done to your family member. And so I think that maybe the less important question is how hard it is to win a case. It comes down to if you can steel yourself and be prepared and be prepared for the other side to maybe push back and make it seem like it's your fault or that you caused this or what have you, right? They're going to find some angle to put some blame on you or to make that might hurt your feelings. I won't pretend that, but the hard of that comes that if you were harmed, is that standing up for yourself and being brave and pushing back. And so if you want to, or you're concerned about filing a suit like this, but you've been severely harmed, then the next step is to talk to somebody, because you don't really know your options or the case, right? If it's, you might be worried that this is a complicating factor, right? In some situations, maybe you didn't have a seatbelt on, but the other person hit you. Generally, there are ways an attorney can handle that, but without talking to somebody, like the best bet is having somebody in your corner who can get more for you than, frankly, I think people can get on their own. Studies show that an attorney is going to get you a higher resolution than you can get on your own. And so putting yourself in that position, I think, is the best bet, and worrying less about preparing for the time, but worrying about less about how hard the thing is going to be. Because sure, you have to do some work with your attorney. You'll have to respond to discovery. You probably have to do a deposition. And if it goes to trial, which is a big if, you're going to have to stand up and stand up for yourself and be put on the stand likely. All of that to say, though, that's you putting yourself out there because something happened and you standing up for yourself. And that's where the bravery comes in. And I think even if you're reading this or listening to this going, that's not for me, that's not for me. I don't know of any personal injury attorney charging to talk to them. And so I would talk to a couple and see what they think and maybe get that checked out before you decide, is this too hard for me? Because in some of those contexts, it might be that's totally possible. But maybe having a better understanding of what specifically that looks like, as opposed to the general question of how hard this is going to be, that's situation dependent. I've had big cases that I thought would take years that settled in months. I've had little cases that I thought would take months that settled in years or went to trial in years. Just totally depends. And so the best bet is to put yourself out there and talk to somebody, maybe get a little more comfort and preparation for what kind of bravery you might need.